Yeah, good morning, all. Endi? Good morning, all. It's already 10 a.m. You are all welcome to the first in the PEEF virtual talk sessions. This session is on the TVET, Technical, Educational, Vocational, and Training subject matter area. So I would like to now invite our compere for this session, Ahmed, Suleiman Mohammed, to please take over. Please, Ahmed, over to you.
Thank you, Doctor. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to give just a couple of more minutes so that other folks who are coming in late can have the opportunity to join us before we start. This is going to be quite an interesting topic, so we are definitely looking forward to your participation and engagement, and indeed looking forward to Mr. Endi's great presentation today. So let's give our incoming attendees a couple of more minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, and then we can get going.
Good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, sir. Our Honorable Chairman, Board of Trustees, Engineer Abdul. Morning, sir.
Morning, sir. Morning.
Good morning. I will look forward to a great time. I see the numbers climbing already.
Yes.
Yes.
We're at 30 participants so far. We'll give it 1 more minute and then we can get going. All right, excellent. Well, in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and get us started this morning. Once again, I would like to welcome everyone that has joined us today. Thank you so much for making the time. Welcome to the first PEEF, People Expertise and Excellence Foundation virtual talk series. PEEF is a registered nonprofit organization comprising of highly reputable professionals in both the public and private establishments. My name is Ahmed Mohammed. I am a PEEF member, and I'm also the Director of Talent Acquisition at Harvard Medical School in Boston, Massachusetts. In line with PEEF's vision to be the leader and most respected organization championing skills development in Africa, our mission is to increase skill proficiency and productive work within the African workforce, and to also allow PEEF within the African workforce, and our mission to increase proficiency and productive work also within the African workforce. PEEF is introducing this new and exciting program this year. It's called the PEEF Virtual Talk. This is the first in a series of many. The PEEF PVT will be a series of virtual monthly talks led by recognized subject matter experts across various industries and economic sectors. The objective is to share sector relevant knowledge, best and success practices, to interact on development challenges, and to co-create practical solutions to solving problems and adding real value to the quality of people living in our communities within Nigeria and Africa at large. To nurture a strong network of committed professionals for sustainable national development through practical application of ideas. Now, the areas of scope or the focus areas will include, but are also not limited to, the following sectors. Today, we are fortunate to have Mr. Endi speak with us on the technical and vocational education and training area, but we also have other sectors such as education, digital economy, health and medicine, agriculture, oil and gas, financial services, manufacturing, science, human capital and labor matters, development economics, and so much more. Our PEEF appointed subject matter experts, such as Mr. Endi, will be leading discussions and offering solutions to many of the current challenges faced within our economy and other areas. These will be interactive sessions with participants able to submit questions and also get responses. The sessions may feature additional speakers and also breakout rooms during this 1 or 2 hour sessions. Additionally, PEEF will also host at least 2 webinars annually, inviting leaders and subject matter experts within Africa and across the globe to speak on relevant issues and offer knowledge, best and success practices, and also practical solutions with the view of adding value within our communities in Nigeria and Africa. These webinars will range also between 1 to 2 hours. These are just some of the exciting new initiatives that PEEF is delivering to its members and their guests. And the best part of it is that it's completely, at this time, 100% free. The outcome, we believe, or at PEEF, we believe that developing skills for excellence is not just the PEEF motto, but the foundation of our vision and mission. The outcome of the PVT series would be the basis of actionable plans that would be available as advisory to all tiers of government. To learn more about PEEF, I would invite you to visit our developing website at www.peef-sdg.org. That's www.peef/sdg.org. With this, I would like to introduce, to say a few remarks, Engineer Abdullah Bukar, who is the chairman of the PEEF Board of Trustees, a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, a retired senior management staff at Shell Nigeria, and an ex-member of the NNPC board. Engineer Bukar, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. I will be very brief. I welcome you all to this special session. And I thank Dr. Endi for agreeing to be the key facilitator for this, and you, Ahmed, for taking on the role of managing us through a very interesting topic that addresses one of the key missing links in our country. If you remember, one of the first SDG conference that we had also tried in some respect to bring some of the aspects here, but focus mainly on the polytechnics, because we had the Board of Technical Education as one of the key participants. And the points we brought out were very clear and were passed on to the Board for Technical Education. I hope what will come out from here will also be something that will structure and will pass to the relevant policymakers and implementers so that it will be a benefit to all of us and also benefit to all the institutions that really require this help. Because when you've got an unstructured way of addressing issues, you have problems. But if there's a structure and a purpose and an objective, and then you'll be able to create the values and the links that will allow you to have success, which is what we all desire in this country. So thank you very much, my people. Thank you very much to the whole team. And thank you for all the participants. Please, let's get on. Thank you. Over to you, Ahmed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Endi, I think we can let you take it from here.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll be your chairman. our able ES, and all the members of PEEF, all the guests on this platform. It's my pleasure to do the first one, and we'll see how it goes. As the BOT chairman has already said, PVT is a very, very important aspect to the Nigerian economy and well-being and so on and so forth. Technical and vocational education, it comes in many facets. We have the formal, we have the non-formal and informal. I sometimes don't want to use the non-formal and informal. It seems to be making one look superior to the other. But if things are done properly, we shouldn't be using all that formal. It's TVET, if it's done properly. So when you start formal, non-formal, informal, you're now trying to make some superior to the others. And that's also part of the problems we're having in TVET in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. It is a very, very crucial vehicle for social equity, inclusion, and sustainable development. In human management, as most of you know, there are some key areas when you want to make a change in someone. In TVET in particular, we look at the knowledge, we look at the skills, and we look at the attitude. Okay, and I'm adding the fourth one, the pocket. The time for education to be just for education's sake is gone. If we don't have financial benefits to it, it's not so interesting to the young people. So it's a credible interface for managing the natural human resources of any given society. You know, and luckily, Nigeria has a very youthful population, which is a very, very big plus. So just the way we are managing our crude oil, just the way we're managing our cocoa, our rice, our groundnuts, our palm oil, we should also manage the natural human resources we have. Those young men and young women out there, they are money actually. We can convert them from being troublesome, being idle, being unemployed. You can convert them into people who are making money, who are paying taxes, and so on and so forth. And that the interface, the key for that change from being dependent to being independent, from being demanding to giving, to from being irresponsible to a responsible citizen in society. One of the key methods worldwide is TVET. I've mentioned here, of course, employment. I will share the next slide on some data around this. If we're able to implement TVET properly and get people employed, there's bound to be increase in IGR for many states to do what they want to do. There will also be an increased industrial base and small and medium enterprises. Of course, security will be much better because people are engaged, people are busy, there'll be less problems like we're having right now. So there will be an improved general well-being of average Nigerians, people who are already trained, who are working either for themselves or for companies. They can pay bills for their family members, they can pay hospital bills for their parents, and so on and so forth. So there's a general improved well-being of the average Nigerians, and they'll be less dependent on the center and what the government can do. Now, I school in the Philippines too, and I know that Philippines, they export skilled labor force. The doctors, and in fact, you have medical schools that actually farming and producing doctors and dentists and medical people. They're sending them to Saudi Arabia, sending them to Asia, everywhere. If you go to Europe, the nurses are the nursing homes, most of them are Filipinos. So if you look at that, you see that those people are being groomed and trained and exported and they make a lot of money. Foreign exchange is one of the biggest incomes for the Philippines, for the Philippines. So instead of us having all these our young men who go to other countries and they are causing problems and so on and so forth, if they are skilled, they will be productive whatever they are, and they can bring some money in. I mean, I saw some video clips of 500 Nigerians in Ghana that were being deported. So you can imagine those 500 young men, what they can do if they were in an industry. Many countries wish that they have such a youthful population, such young workforce that can be used to produce a lot of things. I've already mentioned the 3 key areas of delivery of TVET: knowledge, skills, and attitude. And I'm adding the 4th one, the pocket, which is the money, financial outcome to the training. Now, I want to just...
Dr. Endi,
yes.
Before you, now that you've made a great introduction to the topic, and before you move forward, I would like to circle back now that the audience have a good idea of what the presentation is going to sound and be like. I would like to let our Dr. Musa give an introduction to your background and why we have you here today presenting on this topic.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ahmed, the chairman of the BOT, professional colleagues. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, a subject matter expert in the area of TVET. I first met Endi in 2016. We actually met and had a very exciting discussion about the subject matter of our session today in a restaurant. And it's over 4 years since then. Endi is a social entrepreneur. Endi is the founder and chief executive officer of Kiara College, Innosong Kiara Academy, Kiara de Luc Academy, and Kiara Gambia. So you can see it's really loaded with practical experience in the area of TVET. These colleges have been engaged in TVET activities, and the objective has always been to bridge the gap between educational institutions and the industry in Africa, using the methodology of education for employment, E4E programs. Our subject matter expert today is the founder of Active Support and Care, a non-governmental organization that caters for people with special needs, especially vulnerable women with mental health challenges. Endi has a diverse background and is multi-talented. His background in health and social care enables him to apply person-centered approach to learning, resulting in desired outcomes for students with varying abilities. So talking about practical skills to get the right impact in the transfer of knowledge and development of people. The areas of expertise of Endi include quality assurance in TVET, management of TVET institutions, assessment techniques for work-based learning, and management of community health and social care services. Endi is a trained assessor and internal verifier of national vocational qualifications, a member of Internal Verifier and Assessors Institute of United Kingdom. He is also in possession of the UK Registered Managers Award in Health and Social Care. Endi holds a Master of Science degree in Psychological Therapies from Bath and London Medical School, London, United Kingdom, and a bachelor's degree in Medical Sciences with first-class honors from Punjab University, Chandigarh, in India. Endi is a founding member of PEEF, which was established in 2016, and he is the PEEF Virtual Talk subject matter expert on TVET matters. I'm very honored today to present again to you our distinguished subject matter expert, Mr. Endi Ezengwa. Please give him a warm applause.
Thank you, Dr. Musa. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you so much. I may also add that I'm Director General of Abia State Education for Employment Agency, which we developed from scratch. Thank you so much for that. Now let's see how it applies to issue here. I mean, I worked in the UK for many years, and I came back in 2012. And since then, I've been on the field. So I'm trying to merge my skill sets from international TVET systems and Nigerian TVET systems. Okay, so we've discussed TVET. We've discussed why we should have it, and especially now we're looking at the Naira falling. We're looking at a whole lot of other factors. We're looking at security. This is the time that TVET has to come in, and I think that what we're seeing today is actually the fruits of us not dealing with TVET earlier on in maybe about 20, 30, 40 years ago. If we had been more serious with TVET, I think we should have avoided a whole lot of things at this point. So we look at this slide on some basic data. I don't want to make this our discussion very heavy on like a lecture or a paper, just some few numbers that we can work with here. The current population of Nigeria is about 210 million. Percentage of youth is 45.7%, which is 97 million youth. So we have actually 97 million youth available to us. Now, if we convert that to money, you can imagine how much money we're going to make if those people are working and are making some money and paying taxes. Percentage of unemployed is 33.3% as at last quarter of 2020, which is about 70 million people again. Now, if we put this in so many other countries that can absorb this number of people, they will do wonders. They will produce a whole lot of things, which of course they will export to Africa. In the universities, we have about 170 universities. We have 143 polytechnics. We have 123 technical colleges. But of note here in red is that 1.9 million people took JAMB UTME exams last year, and our universities, our tertiary institutions have a capacity of about 400,000. So what happened to the 1.5 million? And this goes on and on and on every year. Now, if we go to the next slide, I will now want us to, having looked at the initial concept of TVET and what it can do, looking at numbers we have, especially the harvesting of the latent energy in our youths. The energy we see people doing fraudulent things on the internet, the energy we see people carrying guns, the energy we see people doing all kind of things, that energy, because energy is neutral. So it is the conversion of that energy that is important. And TVET is the key that we can use to make that energy more positive and more productive for our country. So in talking about TVET institutions, here I'm focusing more on the technical colleges and polytechnics. The technical colleges are the basic blocks of TVET in the so-called formal sector. After GSS 3, you have NTC 1, NTC 2, and NTC 3. The corresponding classes in a regular secondary school will be SS1, SS2, SS3. Now, in a technical college, when you finish your JSS 3, you now go to NTC 1, NTC 2, and NTC 3. This is where we need to put a lot of emphasis on, because that is the fundamental laying block for TVET in the country. Now, of course, quantity, we don't have enough. Quality. Now, in quantity, of course, we do have a lot of vocational centers mushrooming everywhere. People, when they come into politics, they set up something. When they go out of politics, that thing disappears. Actually, if we if we put together all those vocational qualifications that are being run by governors and their wives and this and that, if we put them together and use that money to support the technical colleges in those states, we will do much, much better. But again, sometimes it's for some different reasons why we have those centers. So the quantity of quality ones are not enough. Now, the ones that we even have, so one of the challenges there is staffing. Some of the technical teachers that we have, they are already old and retiring. Nobody is taking over anymore. I will also talk about the issue of colleges of education technical as we go along, but we don't have any sustained method now of actually generating fresh technical teachers. Most of the ones you see that are very good are old and they're retiring. When I worked on a World Bank project for Anambra State, in trying to accredit the colleges there, I had to tell the governor to call back some retired but not tired teachers because we couldn't find enough teachers to meet the MPT requirements for those courses. So that's a problem that we have. Equipment, of course, is an issue. Many state governments really don't want to spend too much money on these colleges because it's easier, it's cheaper to fund a secondary school with a blackboard, with some classes and a chalk, as against a technical college that requires equipment, requires specialized staff, requires materials, requires power, and so on and so forth. So what happens is that these states just abandon these colleges and just focus on the regular secondary school. Sometimes they try to add some courses in secondary schools, alternative to practicals. There can never be alternative to practicals. It's like you know it or you don't do it. It's like somebody doing medicine. He say, I'm doing alternative to surgery. So you are practicing it, no, you have to work on a cadaver and work on a human being to get the skill. So with the government, I'm trying not to give solutions because that's going to be another topic we're going to have sometime in June. So, but the issue about equipment is important. We have old equipment. We have equipment that are not even functioning. The environment, of course, the classrooms, some areas is leaking. The management of the whole institution is not proper. Curriculum is not fit for purpose. It's not industry-led. I will discuss this a bit in another slide. Our employee engagement, I will also discuss that in another slide. But suffice it to say at this point that there has to be a linkage between the industries and the colleges. When I came back newly, I had a college in the UK, but when I came back, I found it very difficult to set up a college because I know what's supposed to be done, and I didn't have the money for all the equipment and so on and so forth. What I did was, I went to Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing Company, where he manufactures vehicles at Endi. During my program with Anambra State, I discussed with him, I partnered with him, I built my classrooms inside his factory. And that's how we set up Innocent Care Academy, which is one of the best places you can go to study automobile maintenance and manufacturing, because the factory is there, the classrooms are there, so it's a match. So the same way, most of the colleges and institutions are supposed to partner with industries around them so that what they're doing is fit for purpose. Organizational structure in this TVET colleges, some of the so-called formal ones, you have some politics going on. You have the principal of a college with no qualification in TVET. How can you have a principal of a college who studies geography heading a college of TVET? He will have problems with his development, because when they give him a list of equipment to buy or materials to use for practicals, he can't understand it. So it's not proper. Colleges of TVET institutions should be managed. The top should be people who have experience and who have qualifications in those areas. Focus on non-TVET courses. some of these colleges, they've left what they're supposed to be doing, and they are doing just the ordinary courses so that they can raise money. Little unknown employee engagement skills, I'll discuss that afterwards. Random transfer of technical teachers. Now I've said about how scarce, how difficult it is to even get good ones. And sometimes when you get the good ones, someone who is in the ministry somewhere will just start transferring people anyhow, sometimes out of their issues. And when one teacher leaves, there's a problem to fill that gap. So before a teacher leaves a certain school, there has to be a change management system where somebody else comes in, a proper handover is done so that that department does not suffer. Second point that we'll look at is institutional discrimination against TVET graduates on all levels. I have to say this. I hope I'm not offending anybody, but it has to be said. I think that's one of the reasons why we have PEEF, where we can say our minds and address issues are supposed to be. There's a discrepancy in the progression pathways of HND and BSc staff in the ministries, in the civil service, even in TVET institutions. Okay, I'll give an example in a polytechnic. In a department, somebody with a BSc will be called a lecturer, but somebody who has an HND will be called an instructor. Already you are damaging the person's mindset. And as far as I know, where I've worked internationally on TVET, people with diplomas are very competent. So for someone to be called a lecturer, someone to be called instructor because he has an HND, someone else has a BSc, I think that's the beginning of the problem. Because if it's me, I would choose to go and do BSc instead of HND because I want to be treated better than others. So I think that's an issue that has to be addressed. Even in institutions that has to do with TVET, people in the top cadre, they are the ones that have BSc. Those who went through TVET institutions are lower. For some, in fact, I don't understand the reason. I still don't understand the rationale because it's supposed to be about competence. It's supposed to be about being able, if someone can drive a car, the person can drive a car. It's not a matter of if you have a BSc or not. So I think we should give more credence to competence, not qualification. Okay. So I've seen people who have done Endi and they go and take JAMB to go into university. I say, why are you doing that? Oh, because that's a better progression pathway. Now, if we had industries like PZ, like Kaduna Textile Mills, like all those other ones, in those areas, nobody cares. They want people who can do the job. But we don't have those anymore. We don't have the industry anymore. That's another topic I'll talk about. Our biggest employer is the civil service. And what do you need in civil service? You need a degree. You don't need HND. Okay, so there's that issue there. Now, also those who finish from NTC 3. Okay, so you have those who finish from secondary school who do WAEC and NECO. You have those who finish NTC 3, who have NAPTEP exam, results in technical college. Sometimes those people who did physics, maths, biology, and so on and so forth get admitted first before the people who actually did all these technical courses. And if you ask anybody, ask them at MBTE, when you go to a polytechnic or go to any department of engineering, those who went through good technical colleges, they are much, much better because they've seen the equipment, they've already practiced with them already. So again, the same issue here. There should be more emphasis given. There should be more accolades for those who went through technical colleges. Also, the MBTE came up with some very wonderful ideas about more institutions in TVET to help. They came up with the Innovative Enterprise Institutions, IEI, which is like a polytechnic but private, and then their courses are specific to employer needs. Then they have the Vocational Enterprise Institutions, VEI. These are the ones below, like the technical colleges. You have the new one now, which has been introduced, the National Skills Qualification Framework, which is similar to the National Vocational Qualifications of the UK, which I'm used to, which is an excellent way of upskilling our workforce. Okay, but how many universities are willing to accept graduates from these institutions. Their certificates seem to be not useful. It's like I went to school in India. Those days when I went to school in India, when they were saying, India qualification is not very good. In fact, when they come back, even to do your service, they'll be looking at the qualification somehow. But now we know where India is. These qualifications, some universities may not want to admit people that have gone through them. So if I was a parent, why would I want to take my children through somewhere where they will not have a proper progression pathway? So if MPT says these institutions are here to stay, if they're going to help us to develop TVET in Nigeria, then universities should admit people coming from them. So tertiary institutions, thereby limiting their progression pathways. TVET matters handled by senior management staff with little or no TVET institutions. So you have people heading institutions that concern TVET, but they don't have TVET qualifications. So of course, policies will be skewed. They cannot really talk they cannot understand what's going on, and they won't be able to make the best of policies. So TVET people should manage TVET matters. We'll talk about societal apathy towards TVET. Because of time frame, I may not be able to give some of my case studies, but suffice it to say here, there was a young lady I met that's studying chemistry in a university, in one of the state universities, and she was struggling with her homework. I said, why? What was the problem? She said, I really don't want to do this thing. I said, but why did you not, I'm studying fashion designing. So she's doing chemistry and she's doing fashion designing on the side. I said, but why didn't you do fashion designing at the beginning? Oh no, my parents wouldn't want that, and so on and so forth. So the ego of parents. I was in medical school in the Philippines, and I couldn't finish because my parents didn't have enough money to pay my school fees. So I came back. But when my daughter was going into school, she said, "Oh, Daddy, I know how much you want this medicine, and maybe I would like to do." I said, "No, you don't have to do medicine. If you want to do medicine, you can do medicine, but don't do it because of me." But many parents would have wanted to live their life through their children. So that happens. Oh, my first child is a doctor, second one is an engineer, third one is an architect, and so on and so forth. So that is part of the problem that we're having, and peer pressure as well. So we send these children into these programs that they don't want to do. And also, we don't have proper guidance and counseling at those lower levels. Because if somebody is not geared towards a particular career pathway, they should know. Not just because you took JAMB didn't give you the first one, didn't give you the second one, then you took the third one. It doesn't matter what it is. Okay, so that's another issue that we're having. So parents want their children to go to universities, and again, I've said some of the points. Because of those discriminations with people who have HNDs, of course, the parents want the children to go where they can progress. Because remember, the biggest employer of labor at this moment is civil service, not industries. Okay, and then poor perception of TVET qualifications. Okay, people believe that those qualifications are lesser than the one of degree holders. Labor market need of TVET graduates is limited in the absence of industries and civil service being the largest employer. Okay, I've mentioned that. The crave for titles by the Nigerian society. I'm Mr. Endi Ezengwa. I've gone to many places. Oh no, Dr. Ezengwa. I said, no, it's Mr. Ezengwa. Okay, Chief. I said, no, it's not, it's Mr. Ezengwa. Mr. is still good. I mean, in Nigeria here, people are crave for titles. They have to put pharmacist in front of their names. They have to put all kinds of things in front of their names. So if you go and do TVET, and you're a very good welder, will you put welder Endi Ezengwa? No, it's not good now. So you have to go and do the one that you can have a doctor. You can even become a professor. You know, so that crave for titles is also making people not want to go to the TVET pathway. Lack of industries in Nigeria, okay, which leads to limited opportunities for students. By the way, if at any point anybody wants to contribute, please let me not bore you all. Let me not get too heavy. If at any point somebody wants to raise their hands to make a contribution, or ask questions, or you can ask the admin. Please feel free to contribute. Okay, so number 4, lack of industries in Nigeria leading to limited opportunities for students' industrial work experience scheme and teachers' industrial work experience scheme. When I was managing a TVET program for Anambra State, the World Bank sponsored TVET program for Anambra State called PEEF. That was where I met Innocent. So during the programs, I had to try to get some work experience for the students and teachers if I want to get them ready for MBTE. So I went to Innocent Vehicle Manufacturing Company. I said, please, I want to bring my the students from these colleges to your place to see what's really happening. And then, he said, okay, we should buy some vehicles, which we did, and then he allowed us to go there. Now, let me tell you what happened. Because the students were going to Innocent for practicals, the admission, the enrollment rate doubled the following year, just because of that. So you can imagine if we had our old PZ, our old Deliver Brothers, our old Kaduna Textile Mills, our old, all this, if the industries were really functioning again, then we would have, it would have been able, it would be the pool to elevate TVET in society. So because of that as well, you have limited employment opportunities for TVET graduates. So where would they go to? They can only go to self-employment or go to some places where it may not be the best, because when they go to self-employment, even the loan from CBN, I mean, they said if you train them, you do entrepreneurship program for them, they're entitled to loan. I have done that. I've trained many graduates. I've done the EDI program for them, but has CBN given them any loan yet? No. I don't even know if even 3% of our graduates have gotten CBN loan. Now, if they have got CBN loan, they have been trained, they have done what CBN said we should do. Of course, by now, they should have been employing people. So let's not pay a lip service to all these things. If we say that TVET graduates, when they finish and do the apprenticeship program, that CBN will support them to start, let CBN support them to start. And if they start, they're going to start employing people, they'll start paying taxes, and so on and so forth. Number 3, lack of industrialists as role models in our communities. Okay, most of you know that in most countries abroad, people become millionaires by going through a certain process, and most of it is industrialization. Daimler-Benz, Volvo, all these people, they all went through a process. Okay, but in Nigeria, you don't have to be an industrialist. Sometimes you don't have to do too much to become a millionaire. So it's hard work to establish a factory. It's hard work to go this pathway. And I'll tell you something again. When you start a factory and you're doing well, you're making small money, you're employing people in your community. Come time of elections, they'll come to you. Incoming. Before you know it, you are dragged into politics. The little money you have gone to give to them, and so on and so forth. You shut down the factory. All the young people are no longer unemployed. You now go into politics because you think that going to politics, you can make money without actually sweating. So we have a lot of people in Nigeria that have money, but don't have that structure that should have been employing people. If the people who are really, really millionaires and billionaires have industries like Dangote, like Bua, and so on and so forth, you can imagine the amount of people. So there will not be unemployment, but the people can make money other ways, easier ways. So there's no need to create those industry bases which are going to employ these young people. So what happens, we don't even have role models. So maybe Dangote, thank God for him, people can say, okay, I want to be like Dangote or Bua and so on and so forth, or like Innocent and so on and so forth. But more so, the young ones want to be like politicians. They want to be like pastors, open a church and make money, or like imams. They want to go into oil and gas, have a filling station, and use the filling station to find a way to make some money for fast money. Nobody wants to go the hard way, setting up industries that can employ people and develop a society on the long run. Then limited labor market information system. Okay, I will mention that in my next slide. Limited employee engagement activities. I will also mention that in the next slide. Now, this slide is about actually how a TVET is supposed to run in a system. Okay, if you look at, let's begin from the green section, which is the employer. So ideally, we have all these industries, and they're looking for human beings, skilled people. The information will go into the labor market analysis and needs. Okay, now that information. Okay, we also have country challenges. I remember in the UK, in the late 80s or so, they did a survey, and they found out the number of technicians and technical people they will need at 2020. So they checked it out, how many people on the welding, carpentry, nurses, healthcare assistants, and so on and so forth. They now engaged colleges to produce these people ahead of 2020. And they funded it. So as people are being trained, you send your results, they pay you, and they now keep tally until they're sure that they have enough ahead of time. Nigeria as a country, where are we going to in the next 10 years? What kind of skills people do we need in the next 10, 20 years? What is it that we need? That information, plus information from our current employers right now, is supposed to go to the Ministry of Education and MBT and so on and so forth. That's where they will now formulate the curriculum or curricula according to where the country is going to and according to our needs at the moment. Then from there, it goes down to the regulation and performance. From there now, it goes to the colleges and providers. What the colleges and providers are supposed to teach, to train, is a function of the information that has come analyzed from the current employers and future plans. When you do that, what's going to happen is that your graduates will be employed now and in the future. That's what will happen. I'll show you in the next slide. Okay, so what we have on the left slide, you see supply driven. Student is the customer. You are taking the JAMB, put first choice, second choice, third choice. So we need to employ 1,000 students so we can make money in this university. Okay, so that is a driving force for the program that's being set. On the right side is demand driven. As I was saying, it is the demand of the industries, is the demand of the needs of the nation that forms the curriculum, that impacts the colleges, that determines the kind of students that are admitted and what they're supposed to do. And when they come in, you do a proper guidance and counseling, assess them, and then put them in different ways where the natural skill set will be used. And once you train them, automatically they have jobs because you are training according to needs. If you are making shawarma, for example, if you make shawarma of all kind of, okay, I make some beef shawarma, I make some chicken shawarma, I just keep them and people will come and buy. You end up going home with some shawarma. But if you wait, people come in and say, Oga, please, I want shawarma, no pepper. I want the one with chicken. I want the one, no mayonnaise. Then your shawarma, you sell all the shawarma you have. You won't be leftover. But our universities have leftover shawarma because it is not being done according to the needs of the industry and the nation. So that's something here that we're talking about. So in this setting, in the proper setting, the employer will engage with the students even before they graduate. Like it used to happen in those days. PZ, River Brothers, NEPA of those days. Before the people finish from NTC3, they are already employed because the training is fit for purpose. Okay. The fifth point I want to make here is the impact of federal government institutions that are managing TVET. I mean, I know there are so many of them, but once I can remember, 4 of them are the NAPTEB, which is the examining body. Okay, you have MBTE, which is a regulatory body, and the development of curricula, and also ensuring that it's being done properly. Then the other one is ITF. ITF is to support skills training through fundraising and so on and so forth. Out of these 3, which are the big ones, I know that ITF has branches in all the states, I believe. I think so. I also believe that NAPTEB has branches in all the states, because I've worked with them in various states as well. But MBTE is practically based in Kaduna. And with the kind of problem we have in TVET, and MBTE being the key body from where all these ones come out from, I believe that MBTE should also be found in at least the 6 geopolitical zones and the states, because that way their hands can touch the actual places where because for everything to go to Kaduna, it can be, I mean, and now I'm going ahead of myself about our solutions, but that's a challenge. That's a challenge there. Among these 3 as well, and then the 4th one is National College Commission for Colleges of Education, NCCE. Now, this is very interesting, please. Here, this one out is quite unique, and Dr. Musa, something has to be done about this one. The State College of Education Technical are the ones that are supposed to be producing technical teachers for us. But they are not under MBTE. They are under National Council of Colleges of Education. National Commission for Colleges of Education doesn't have the technical bias MBTE has. When I was setting up IBA State Education of Employment Agency, which I did from scratch, when I did my labor market information system, found out what ABA needs to sustain itself as the SME capital of West Africa, and so on and so forth, I was looking forward to going to the State College of Education Technical to get qualified teachers. In fact, as I said, I will go there, I will take their data for the last 3 years, 4 years, analyze it, get some of them, and train them and equip them, and so we can now go ahead and and get it done. I got there, I'm on air, I can't say everything, but suffice it to say that I was not able to get what I want. Those College of Education Technical must be College of Education Technical. They cannot be admitting people in mass communication. They cannot be people on order. They have to focus on the mandate of training these people. So these are the things. And then because they are managed by NCCE and not MBTE, sometimes their curriculum or curricula are heavy on education and maybe light on technical bit. Because you cannot blame NCCE because they deal with college of education. So I believe that that's a challenge here, that we need to make sure that all these colleges of education technical, if I may say, MBT should have more roles to play in these particular ones. Okay. Also, with these institutions, I look at the enforcement of existing policies. There are many policies which I can't even mention here. There are many of them, but it's also the enforcement of these policies that are also key. And also, we need to streamline the roles of these 3 big guys, okay? So that there should be synergy and there will be no cross purpose of in implementations, so that people are on their lanes and we can run faster. I believe that these 3 key people, PEEF can do something to bring a little bit more cohesion, and so that they can drive this. lack of funding. So I'm putting this last because I noticed that whenever you talk about this, and the first people talk about this, lack of funding, lack of funding. No, lack of funding is not the first thing. You have to get the systems right, and then the funding will come in. If the systems are not right, and you put the funding, it's just a mess. So funding is the last thing that we'll talk about. First of all, the systems has to be right first, and then we can put funding. Yes, as mentioned already, these institutions can be better funded, of course. And there is, in TVET institution, one thing I like about MBTE, which they have put is there's a policy on production units. So the departments in these colleges, whether it is a technical college or polytechnic or so on and so forth, if they do business with the departments, the money they make from there can be shared to the institution, to the HOD, and to the students. So it's an incentive, actually, for them to use the equipment to make money. The current program that we're running now, the World Bank assisted program on ideas, innovation, development, effectiveness in the acquisition of skills, is focused around this. It's focused around partnership with industries. It's focused around workshops, not just being workshops, but places where money can be made. If you have a very good welding equipment in your welding department, for God's sake, go and make some money with it. And then the institution can get some money from there, the HOD can get some money from there, and the students can get some money from there, because the memo you write to go to the Ministry of Education to get funding can take 3 months, 4 months. But if you are doing something with the equipment you have, you can get things can be happening, and the children can see action going on. So it goes both ways. But the states can do more in funding these institutions. But the issue is that when money is scarce, tendency is to leave those ones that are more expensive and focus on the simple secondary schools. Some of these different institutions resort admitters who are not offering technical courses in order to make up numbers in their schools and raise needed operational funds. For these colleges where I've worked, in the states I've worked, I've always insisted that the colleges will have to let go of other courses. After GSS 3, if somebody wants to do the normal courses, they should go to secondary school and do it. From after that, it should be NTC 1, NTC 2, and NTC 3. They should focus on those technical courses, and not to have people coming around. And then now everybody wants to do WAEC and NECO. They should all do NAPTEP exams alone for those institutions. Then the last point, the federal government institutions managing TVET may not be able to fulfill their mandates if they're not adequately funded. Okay, MBTE, they have to go around to check, make sure everything's okay. They have to be funded. They have to have vehicles. They have to have allowances, because without checks, especially in skills sector, you can take exam, in a pure academic setting, 7 questions to take 5. You can even do it remote with a CCTV, and they will do it and go. But with technical education, you have to watch them doing it before they can be certified. It requires more effort, it requires more funding, and it requires much more resources. So on that note, I want to stop here because, like I said, this is just the beginning of a whole lot of discussions in TVET. We will focus on solutions. So we don't do rash information on solutions. We will throw this open. People can comment. Over the next 1 month, we get information from our WhatsApp platform, from emails. So we collect them, do small research, and then have another discussion of an hour or an hour and a half, and focus on how we can actually do a good job in addressing the issue. This issue has to be addressed. It has to be addressed. This NSAS, all this youth on the street, we have the ability to get it done, but we need political will to go into this pathway. Once more, my beauty chairman and my ES, thank you for the opportunity to share my experience in TVET. Thank you very much.
Well, Andy, I have to say, this is definitely a great topic, and you've made some really significant points here with regards to, a lot of the challenges that are being faced. And we've had some really interesting engagement in the chat box while you were delivering these important topics. I particularly took away quite a bit. But when you mentioned that shawarma, Andy, with my fasting, you had me going. Salivating there for a little bit. But I do have some questions. There were some few questions that a couple of people mentioned in the platform. I will mention it, but in addition, we do also have some two key contributors that would love to come on and chat with you a little bit about some of their thoughts as well, and we will bring them. We'll be adding them onto the panel section so that they can engage with you, and then you can take away the slideshow. But before that, let me read out a couple of questions that some people have brought up while you were giving your great presentation. The first question was, in India and other countries, how are curricula of HND and BSc compared to those in Nigeria? If I can read all of the questions, or I can read them one by one if you want to briefly touch upon them, or if you like to leave that for a different time, that would be fine also.
No, but I can mention that. I think, I don't know if I said here or not. I schooled in India. I spent my first 3 years in India. I understand a little bit about that. Usually, the BSc tend to have a bit more theory. As again, is the percentage of the theory and practicals in that, the course content. The HNDs tend to be more hands-on and needed for the industry. So that's basically the fundamental difference.
Now, is that the same in India?
Well,
Versus Nigeria?
I cannot say specifically for India, but in most countries, I think that's kind of the rule of thumb. There are some more people here from MBT and others who can also contribute towards it. But usually the HNDs are more hands-on and more has more practical content than the BSc.
Okay. Now, question number 2, this comes from an individual who is the French agri-counselor based at the French embassy in Abuja. He says that, he or she says that, I think there's a huge labor market for technicians in Nigeria, as the private sector is quite dynamic here, and it is certainly not limited to the civil service. This is more of a comment than a question.
I do understand, but still, if you're on the field, you know that everybody is trying to get a federal job. Everybody is trying to get into civil service. I think the thing is more secure. And if you look at the wage bills of most states, they are really struggling because everybody is going into civil service. Everybody is going into civil service. So that's but yes, of course, yes. You do have a lot of industries, especially in the Southeast, I must say. Not that because I come from there, but they have these traditional apprenticeship systems. Which they use, and which of course now MBTE with the World Bank they're coming together to try to find a way to certify these people who are on the field but who know the skill but don't have certificates to prove it.
Now the last question here is, how can we reorient Nigerians to appreciate industrialists rather than entertainers, politicians, scammers, etc., as role models? It's a very good question.
Yeah, but it's a function of the pool. I remember in the UK also when they were trying to drive people into TVET, the average young man would take a loan to go to university, but they made NVQs free. So while the young man is taking loan to go and get a degree, the person with MVQ has already qualified, gotten to level 4, level 5, has already bought a house, and doing things. So automatically, people now gravitate towards that. So it's like the water flowing. You have to make the pathway. You have to create policies that will intentionally drive people in a certain way. I've mentioned about those indiscriminations that I think has to be addressed. Because if truly we want people to follow that pathway, we need to make sure that there are no ceilings for those who are following the HND pathway. Then you can see that the road will be clear. More people will go that way because there will be that they know that that they cannot be limited to their capacities.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much. This brings me to the next portion here, where I would like to add before we can certainly come back to more questions from the participants, but I would like to bring two individuals up to the panelist view. Ibrahim Bello, who is a former chairman of the College of Education, Technical in Bichi, Kano, and also Engineer Oluboni Adekoje, who is DG Federation of Construction Industry. They were kind enough to agree to join you on the panel and to make a couple of comments. So I'll have our technical advisor, Hadiza, add them onto the view. If you don't mind getting out of your PowerPoint presentation, that would be great at this point. Perfect. Welcome, Ibrahim, and welcome.
Yes,
Thank you for joining us. You can feel free to turn on your camera, and I certainly apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name.
Okay, good.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time today. So please, I know you both made some interesting comments in the chat box. So if you would like to go first, I would say ladies first.
Okay.
Thank you so much for letting ladies come first. So it's been a pleasure listening to Mr. Ezengwa, and all what he has been discussing is part of what we are trying to do here in FUSI. So the Federation of Construction Industry, we are both an employer group and an umbrella advocacy group for construction employers in Nigeria. And we found that over the years, we had problems with skills of artisans. It's no secret that most of the best artisans we get in Nigeria are from neighboring countries. And our good artisans are aging. Our former route of training them through master trainers is gradually fading off because most young men don't even want to go the route of artisans. So we had to decide that we had to help ourselves. And to help ourselves, we formed FUSI Skills Academy. And the purpose is not academic. It is basically for hands-on skills. It's been a very rough journey. And so I could actually resonate with all what Mr. Endi spoke to. We decided that we're not focusing on qualifications. We're focusing on the MBT. We decided to use the MBT route. So we're focusing on the national skills qualification levels for certification because we don't want to have a school. It's not a school, it's for skills hands-on. And I can share with you that we've started, we had a 1 month training for teachers. Mr. Endi, it is very true, it is difficult to get teachers who can actually teach hands-on. The teachers we employed, we found that they did not have the skills to teach hands-on. They did not have this, and when you don't have the skill, you just can't impart what you don't have. So we had to spend a whole month reorienting our teachers and getting them to have the required skills to teach. We decided to start with masonry training. We did our survey, we found that masonry is a foundation of all construction skills. So we decided to pick it a bite at a time, starting with masonry. And I'll share with you, sirs, that the amount we spent on tools and equipment and consumables was astronomical. But we had to do this because we wanted to make sure that our trainers could use every tool that they had to teach the students. Our trainers could do every task that they will have to teach the students. So basically, our masonry trainers, they could do carpentry, basic carpentry for foam work. They can do the bricklaying, and they can also do the iron bending required. So if you have a masonry trainer, you should be able to do those three basic, have those three basic skills. Right now, we are speaking with our members to have our first set coming anytime from now, because we've trained our trainers. The curriculum was another issue. As I discussed with you, we're using MBT. The MBT curriculum, when we looked at it, we found that there was so much theory, not enough practicals. So we had to have about 4 different workshops, validation workshops, whereby we brought in 4 men from our different companies and had them go through the curriculum, validate, and put in the practical and up-to-date, aspects into the curriculum. And that has made the curriculum richer. As I speak, we're still working on the curriculum. We're tweaking with it because we want to be sure that whoever comes in through that academy gets the hands-on skills. We'll also ensure, our plan with our members is that the trainees would spend about 6 months at the training center and another 6 months on the site with various member companies, depending on the skills we wish them to get from the member companies. Ultimately, after a year, the trainee would have the NSQ level 3. Of concern to us is also the fact that although MBT did so good work on this, it is not yet common knowledge. It is the route into higher institution is not yet very clear, which Mr. Endi pointed out. So this is where we are at, and it's a pleasure sharing our experience. As we go on, definitely we'll share with members of PEEF our progress and our challenges, because we believe others too will also learn and maybe avoid whatever challenges we end up having. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I hope you are a member of the PEEF platform.
Yes, sir, I am.
Oh, perfect. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for your addition, ma'am. Hello, Mr. Ibrahim. Would you like to add some comments? I know you had mentioned a couple of things also regarding.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yes. I want to start by going down memory lane. I went to government secondary school in Lorry in the 70s, and I could recall in those days we have a technical subject department where students were taught carpentry, mental work, and they even take it at a school start level. At the same time, we also have government technical training college in Ilorin, which was focusing on technical subjects. Along the way, just as Ilorin stopped offering technical subjects, the then GGTS was converted to Kuala Puli. And I believe the same thing happened all over Nigeria, where state went to set up polytechnics, converted the existing technical school to polytechnics. Okay. Secondly, in the 70s and part of 80s, we have various assembly plants. Volkswagen in Lagos, I think, Stay in Kanu, Leland in Badon, Pan in Kaduna, Mercedes-Benz in Enugu. Now, we know that most of them are closed down. But the key point is that at the time they were assembly vehicle, they have technical school, where they were training in Nigerians on technical part on how to service vehicle, how to repair vehicles. As of today, I think the only one which is very active is Pan in Kaduna. Now, I'm a stockbroker by profession. But about 4 years ago, I was appointed chairman of College of Education, BG, and that exposed me to the potential in college education technical. College of Education Technical Bichi was established about 30 years ago. In Bichi is about roughly 1 hour to Kano. And they focus on technical and vocational subjects. And I tell you that as council members, we went around the school assembly, fabricating farm equipment, the servicing vehicles, even generator. They have a farm, they have a poultry farm, they have a ranch. Okay, but the challenge we have, which Endi raised in his paper, that out of our 1.9 million who took JAM, only 400 got admission into the university. Now, historically, College of Education was not part of JAM admission. JAM included them. That's what increased the number of people seeking admission, not for university alone, but to university, polytechnic, and college of education. But the challenge is that the college of education is at the bottom. So while university is looking for a score of about, let's say, 200, 250, 350 for you to get admission, college of education will take you, if you have a score of 150, 120. So the side effect is that you have people who are not the top to be in college of education. But this is the basic of structure which you can use to train other people. The college of education technical, there are about 32 of them, and they are doing very well. But Nigeria don't seem to focus on them. Like one of the presenters said, they should be under MBBTC, but they're under College of Nigeria Board for College of Education. I don't know why they did that. But the College of Education, the one from Bichi are doing very well. They have farm. At the time we were there, we started construction of the permanent site. Okay. So what Nigerian government need to do now is at the state, both state and federal level, is to bring back the technical school in Nigeria. Some states have technical school, but there are very few where you can teach the rudimentary and vocation. Everybody complain that we have a teacher coming from the Republic, Togo, and Ghana because they were trained there. Now, virtually every Nigeria wants to go to the university. Virtually every Nigeria wants to work for federal government. But where the money is, where you can develop the economy is what you call the small scale industry. And that's where all these artisans being trained can fit in. But most of the students being trained at all these colleges of education, including Bichi, is entirely, most of them end up being classroom teachers. And that's what they're trained for. But interesting enough, they are well trained. They can fabricate farm equipment. It's something I saw myself. They have their own farm, right? Somebody even created an equipment to squeeze what we call juice from coconut. Okay, we need to we need to encourage them. Then the government at both state and federal level also have to come in by motivating them. In a situation where somebody graduates from College of Education Technical, you put the person on level 6. It's discouraging. We need to focus on bringing back the old era of having technical school, having College of Education Technical and technical training school, so that we can focus more on vocation and technical issue. Right now, we are doing what we call sustainable farming, because most of our people are not trained on large scale farming. If you can focus on this, most of if you look at the typical house construction, you have the painter, the carpenter, the people doing POP, people doing window. Ironically, most of the people doing POP are from the Republic. Why can't we focus our training on some of these people? Not everybody need to be a graduate, and not everybody need to work with government. Ironically, government cannot even employ everybody. The sector which can employ everybody is the private sector. So we need to change our orientation, right? And focus more on the middle class, focus more on training people for small scale, focus more on introduce more technical subjects, more vocational subjects, in even the in secondary school, apart from college of education. Now, there are only 32 college of education offering the technical and vocational course out of about 156. Why should that be? So it's a question of changing our orientation, and this involves government, at both local government, state, and federal level. This is my comment for now. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you so much. It's certainly a pleasure. And I hope you too are on the PEEF platform as a member.
Yes, I am.
If not,
I am.
okay, excellent.
I'm a foundation member.
All right, excellent. Let me, I'm going to say that we have two other individuals who have also raised their hands. So I'm going to move you back into the attendees section. Once again, thank you both so much for jumping in to make your contributions. And I'm sure Endi would have some responses to your comments as well. So if our technical specialists can move you back to the attendees section, and we can add two other individuals who are looking forward to joining the conversation as well.
Yeah. Are we waiting for them to join, or should I make some comments?
You can make comments while they are jumping in.
Yeah, the last comment he made is very, very important, which is also one of the fundamental challenges we have, because education seems to be the choice of the lowest of the lows. You know, when they go for the first one, second one, third one, and they don't get it, then they will just grudgingly go to a college of education technical. So, and education is about the mind. The capacity of people that are supposed to train their mindsets have to be very, very high. So actually it should be on the same level with people doing engineering, doing medicine, and so on and so forth. But what do we have? Again, because of the warped value system in society, those who are going for teaching jobs are those who they say that, you know, who are not good enough for the subjects. So what do we get? So we get people who are not good enough for other subjects trying to teach our children. So how would that work? Okay, so that's also a big challenge there. So I think there has to be a very clear reward system for those who are going into training, into teaching, so that they will not, so we're not left with the scrap, with the bottom of the heap, for such an important factor as managing the minds of our children. It's a very, very bad thing. So when you have people who are supposed to not be intelligent, supposed to, I don't know, be intelligent, that intelligent, now being the teachers. So what are we going to expect them to tell our children? Okay, so I think a special policy, a special emphasis will have to be made, and the only driving force is to ensure that there's financial remuneration for those who are involved in technical, because like the lady said, you know, the older teachers who are skilled, they are all retiring. You don't really have young men who want to replace them. So something has to be done actively, not passively, actively, to repopulate the number of people involved in technical education training.
Thank you. We've got an individual, Yawale Baba, that has joined us. Welcome to the panel, Yawale. Would you like to say a few words? Maybe there's some technical challenges there. Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay. Good morning.
Morning. Would you mind introducing yourself quickly? And
my name is Yawale Baba.
Go ahead.
I am from Nigerian Meteorological Agency, working near the Mala Aminu Kano International Airport.
Excellent. What do you want to say on the topic?
I really appreciate the first speaker, which he has done justice to the system. But you see, it is sad and disheartening because when we said Nigeria, we wanted to diversify, but we are not doing the needful from the scratch. We are only thinking about diversifying from the top. And it's not going to work. The truth is that since our teachers' colleges, the one we know, who train even with grade 2, if you can get a grade 2 teacher now, he is even better teacher than a degree holder, I bet you. Because they have the good skills and the background from teachers' colleges before even going to colleges of education. But it's unfortunate because of the issue of the degree, it has damaged the system to some extent, that all these policies is being carried out by, maybe, I don't know whether it is because is it professors or doctors that they sit down and look at all those policies that favor them. I don't understand. But definitely the policies have to change. We need to bring in back the teachers grade 2, teachers colleges of education, the technical colleges, so that these are the bottom line. And it's also disheartening. Another speaker just mentioned, why is it that it is the lowest upon the lowest that go to colleges of education or go to polytechnics? Why is it so? Where these are areas where we need people that need to have more skills that they can offer outside the society. We need these people who are well-trained, who have the knowledge, that they can also be part of those systems, not in the universities. The universities is one aspect of the learning, but our industries, cannot be sustained, we cannot maintain or improve on all those sectors without having good people who have that technicality in their system. We cannot. So the government policies need to change. We need to change them so that will help us now in augmenting all those sectors that can now that can reduce the employment at the federal civil service or state civil service. We cannot continue in such a way, because if you continue in that direction, that means we are going to breed more politicians, because it's an area where we look for cool money, or where you can have money without you labor for it. That is where people are going. But the reality is that we need to develop such areas, and definitely the renovation. If we are looking for, okay, now the Nigerian Society of Engineers, I'm even wondering what is happening with the policies in the Nigerian Society of Engineers, that they will tell you an engineer is an engineer, and a technician, a polytechnic is a technician. Whereas if they go to the field, 80% of the job is on the table of the technician, because they know he can do better than the other of the degree. But why? When it comes to the enumeration or any other incentives, then they consider the degree holder. Why is it so? Why is it so? So all those policies, all those societies, all those bodies that we have, they also need to look inward and see the reality of what they're having. City and guides that we used to know in the College of Education, where a secondary school graduate already has a job, he knows how to do plumbing, welding, he knows how to do electrical work, but now we no longer have them. We only get people from the streets. They don't have certificates. And if they are eventually they made your way, they were able to do it in your houses, and how something happens, who do you hold responsible?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have the expertise, you don't have the certificates.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely something is missing somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Something is missing somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So the government need to come in and bridge that gap between those that are with technicians.
I think Mr. Yawale is breaking up.
Yes.
So these are the things that we need. Thank you very much.
No, you make some very passionate comment on this. Thank you for sharing. We also have Mark on the panel view here, and then I'll give Endi back the stage to mention a few things. It's really getting interesting, Endi, because we've got some really great comments and contributions in the chat box as well. And I would love for you to get to some of that. But we've got Mark here too, who I'm assuming would like to say a few things as well.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Ezengwa and Engineer Abdullahi, Suleiman, and others in the house. My name is Mark Ugoke. I work with NAPTEP Nigeria, and I want to appreciate Ezengwa for this wonderful presentation. But my contribution is, or rather, my contributions are that the problem we have is adequate workshops in technical colleges and inadequate teachers in those technical colleges, as highlighted by Ezengwa. In the course of carrying out our assessment, we've discovered that when we write out the list of materials that are required for a trade, in which case we're expected that each student is supposed to have access to those materials, when we get to the center for the assessment, the materials may not be there, the equipment may not be there, then even the teacher that is supposed to be an authority in that trade may not be qualified to handle that subject. So the students, what it means is that the students were not ab initio exposed to those materials that are required for the teaching. They are not also exposed to a good teacher who will be able to handle the materials, even if they have. Now, Dr. Ezengwa mentioned that, or rather, Mr. Ezengwa mentioned that, that there are people that are already trained. And of course, there is this seed or startup fund that should have been provided by CBN to trainees who have been certified to have skills. But that hasn't come up. So we can't find a way of getting the CBN because that should form part of their deliverables. Is there no way we can get a CBN to get such fund released, even if they are not giving them money? Let them transform, let them change it to tools, startup kits. For instance, if you did electrical or you did auto electricity in a technical college, and you may not want to continue, want to be on your own, not to stop the CBN to buy those equipments and give to those students, graduating students in those various trades to be able to start something on their own, if they are not willing to give them money. Because what the people just needed is material to be able to be on their own. So these are the issues. Now, yeah, he has mentioned a lot about the curriculum, but is there no way we can also devise a national system, sort of a benchmark, that look, this practical work, practical activity for this trade should be a minimum of a 60% devoted to that, then 40% devoted to the theoretical aspect, so that it will become a clear-cut benchmark for any what do you call it, any principal or any rector of a technical college, that this is what you are supposed to this is the way the teaching and the training in the school should be. Now, we had earlier proposed a memo to the National Council on Education, which was accepted. We requested that government should approve the provision, the use of technical colleges as skills incubation center for the communities, or rather for people within the host community. What we mean by that is you use a technical college, then you have one or two people that are out there that don't have anything doing. Perhaps they're out of school labor. Ezengwa mentioned that out of 1.9 million, about 400 of them may be admitted into tertiary institutions. So the other ones will just be roaming the street. So if people could now come and harvest these people and tell them, look, instead of roaming the street, why don't you go into this technical college that is located in your community, so that they would be able to use that opportunity to acquire 1 or 2 survival skills. That kind of thing should be undertaken in Nigeria. The other one is a commercialization of products in technical college. What do we mean? You may have a furniture making. And instead of even building chairs, instead of even constructing chairs for your teacher, you look for a furniture maker outside. It doesn't make sense. We believe that some of those things should be able to assist even the students to learn and even reserve revenue or generate revenue for the institution. I was in GTC Enugu some time ago, and I went to the furniture area and saw a lot of desks for students in secondary school, junior secondary school. I asked, they said, look, that the school got an award from the Universal Basic Education Commission in the state to make those chairs. And that was a good one. One, they should have generated revenue. 2, they are using the teacher and the students to do that. And by doing that, the students would develop skills, good skills, on how to make those kind of furniture. So these are things that we should do in our technical college and make it more feasible. Perhaps in our subsequent meeting, I may mention others, because we know that both traditional and other apprenticeship scheme has a lot of potential for employment in Nigeria. And we are not looking at that seriously when we're talking about TVET. But it's actually it has a very high potential in being one of the areas in which we can increase access to TVET. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mark, for another great addition to this conversation. I'm sure Mr. Endi would have a lot to respond back to. A lot of these great information coming in. We've got one more person, Mr. Endi, that we're going to add to this platform, and then what we're going to do is we're going to break from adding people. And I've got one other question that's sitting in my inbox that I will ask you. But let me bring that one person in. We can have him mention what he needs to, and then we can wrap up with that other one and allow you to continue to comment on the topic.
Okay, so let me just deal with those 2 first, all right?
Sure.
Okay, I thank the former speaker for the passion I can see in his voice. That's the passion we need, all the way from our beauty chairman. We are going to infect you with that passion for TVET. When something has to be done now because it's been left for too long, we can't allow it to continue anymore. Yes, it's true. The quality of teachers, even at entry point, is something that has to be addressed. If we don't have people who can actually deal with the minds of our children, then we'll have a big problem. The other one is, I think, also to do with the mindset of Nigerians to say, when I was in the UK, I had the opportunity of either doing a PhD or doing assessors on verified qualification and RMA for health. I chose the assessors and verifiers, and I'm happy with it. And it's because of my nature and what I want. I could have just done a PhD and go ahead and do some other things, but people should learn to be themselves. People should learn to be able to get qualifications enough to manifest what God has put inside them, not what society wants them to be. Okay, because if you're supposed to do something, all you have to do is to get the qualification that will enable you do what God has sent you on earth to do, not because it sounds good. So we need to find a way to actually probably do regular advertisements or advertorials. I don't know what we're going to do, but to try to raise raise the morale, raise the profile of people in TVET sector. From Mark of NAPTEP. Thank you so much, Mark, for coming, and thank my regards to your ES. You have been very supportive. Thank you so much for all you've done, working with you over the years at NAPTEP. Some of the things you mentioned are already done by MBTE. MBTE in the curriculum already have specified the percentage of work on theory, percentage of work for practicals. As I said, some of these things are already there. It's just the ability for us to implement them. The idea about shared facilities for technical colleges is a very, very welcome one. And for me, I happen to be involved in the World Bank Assisted Ideas project, which I mentioned was innovation, development, effectiveness in the acquisition of skills. I don't know if Professor Dekola is here with us. He promised to join. What they're doing with the colleges that are being developed, for me, it will be criminal to limit it only to students of those colleges. I believe that by the weekend or in the evenings, that all those unemployed youths in the area can access those equipment and they can be trained, over the weekend, and then on the weekdays, the students can take over again. It's a very good idea, and I believe it's going to work. It will be much better than the usual vocational colleges. No, I'm sorry. Vocational centers you see dotted here and there with little or no supervision. So being able to walk around the so-called formal colleges in those communities will be a welcome idea. The CBN, currently I'm running a program partly funded by the Germans, DEG, and partly funded by Henderson Vehicle Manufacturing Company, where we're training 2,200 youths in auto-diagnostic equipment and maintenance over 3 years in 5 southeastern states as a pilot. Then we'll go to other zones as well. Part of the project is that some money has been allocated for them to open workshops, 25 workshops, 5 in each state. And part of the money should come from CBN for these people that have been trained, supported by Bosch. Okay, because of the issues about damages in vehicles, so Bosch, the German company, brought in auto-diagnostic equipment, which they're now being taught on how to diagnose cars before they can start maintaining cars, so that to avoid damaging cars and so on and so forth. So the CBN is supposed to provide some funds to help them to set up their workshops in those states. Because when they leave the academy, they're supposed to go to those workshops and continue, and from there train others. So we can have 2,200 all over 3 years. Now, I'm really concerned, and I hope that CBN will come through to provide those funds for those. And once it works in the Southeast, of course, we'll go to another zone and duplicate that. So the CBN here, I believe that also some people have abused it in the past. I can understand that, but I think they can look forward to working with PEEF, to making sure that people that we can work with are people that actually deserve that. Because in the absence of Kaduna Textiles, Liver Brothers, PZ, and so on and so forth, these are the other avenues that we can have for our self-employment. Production units, yes, I've already mentioned that each department should no longer just be going somewhere, doing a little work in a room somewhere. No, these are supposed to be production units. Something's supposed to be happening there. Okay, furniture should be made. If you're doing building, you should be able to build some schools for you back in your state. So that way it becomes more interesting. You can attract more teachers, you can attract more students because there's money involved. And MBTE in their wisdom made it possible that money can be shared between the institution and the HOD and the students for any job done. So it's an incentive. So I think that should be encouraged. So I think those are the points which I've made. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We've got Ahmed Gobir here, who is on standby also to make a comment. I think he's our last person to join the panel before our final question that I'll read out to you once Ahmed is done. Thank you, Ahmed. You can join us.
All right. Thank you, Ahmed.
I know we share the same name, so it's awkward to say your name again.
Yeah. And thank you, Mr. Ezengwa, for the very wonderful and beautiful presentation, and to all other contributors. I'd actually shared on the comments, my comment and the question. I listened to Mr. Ezengwa and carefully, and I noticed that yes, most of what we have talked about today revolved around technical and vocational education training in technical colleges and in our polytechnics or in our technical colleges of education. And I just want to observe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, that back in the 90s, I had the privilege of working in the textile company between Zaria and Kaduna Textile, where Mr. Ezengwa made reference to. And I recall that around the states of Kaduna, Kano, and a few other states that I know then, we had what were called basic apprenticeship training centers, where vocational education was also taught. I recall that we were taking students from these centers, for some sort of internship then, in the textile industry and the plants. They were in the carpentry and joinery, auto mechanics, electrical. And now, those kind of training centers also seem to have disappeared from our landscape. And I was just wondering if, as a PEEF, if we are looking at making some recommendations to government about technical and vocational education training, and we're looking at technical colleges, we're looking at our polytechnics, our colleges of technical colleges of education, shouldn't we also be considering looking at this kind of basic apprenticeship training centers, which are the kind of centers that I think also produce and churn out this kind of artisans that we bring in from Togo, from Benin Republic, to come and do our POPs and other stuff like that. That's just my comment and my observation.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Ahmed. That's a very, very good point. Well, I have not, I tried not to blow my own trumpet, but I do have quite a few of these colleges, which, like I mentioned before, in partnership with industries. The one I have with a nursing vehicle manufacturing company, the one I have with another company in Aba, where the vice president came to launch Empower because of the quality of our provision. Now, these ones are also very important. But I must say, my brother, that we will try to take away more from the government. We should encourage more of private sector led ones, of strong partnership with the private sector and the government. Why they disappeared is because, like everything else, disappearing. So I believe that they're very, very good. They should be done, but they should have a very high dose of private sector component in them for sustainability. That's been done, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. I'm going to read one question. Now, you let me know, Endi, because, folks are getting really excited and raising their hands, but I know we are coming up to almost 10 minutes to the hour, but I do want to read one question here, and then you can, let me know if you have time. If not, obviously we have, we're going to do this again. And for those of you who have been raising their hands, who may not, we may not be able to reach, we certainly do encourage you to stay with us and to join us again. But let me quickly pose this question to Endi, which I actually find this question quite fascinating because I think many of us here can probably tell some stories around the experiences of both the good, the bad, and the ugly of sometimes interactions with Eritreans and folks who may be in this sector. The question in particular is attitude and behavior have not been mentioned enough in this conversation. They are perhaps as important as the technical skills. For technicians to succeed in the private sector, reliability, consistency, professionalism, etc. are key. I think we do not emphasize the soft skills as well enough.
Yes, I wrote it down here on my notes, but I skipped it. I think the name is Shehu or so, who posed the question. Yeah, Shehu Garba, I think, yes. I made a note of it, I forgot. Yes, that's very, very important. The attitude, remember I said the knowledge, the skills, and the attitude, okay? And then now I've added the fourth one, the pocket, which is the financial aspect of it. Now, the attitude is so important. There was a video that went viral of a Ghanaian pastor who was talking about us being our problems. I consult for a friend who has a group of companies, and the challenge is actually the stealing going on in those factories. You'll be surprised with what the staff will do. And it happens in so many factories that I've been able to go to consult to manage. Sometimes they have to bring Indians because the money they will pay the Indian is less than what will be stolen if they had Nigerians on it. And here you are, we're complaining, no industries, people are moving into politics, and yet those who are able to avoid taking their money overseas in Dubai, everywhere else, and decide to invest the money in Nigeria to employ our youth, they are suffering because the stealing, once the person is employed, automatically they begin to think of how to steal. I'm not saying it's everybody, but a good percentage is doing that, and it becomes a problem. They have to put CCTVs, they have to put extra efforts to try to contain that. So yes, attitude is important. The soft skills is important, and it's a very big component in TVET. And because I have a background in mental health, that helps me in delivery of that. So in giving the knowledge, in giving the skills of, yes, you're correct, the attitude and the ability for people to be honest and to be dedicated in what they're supposed to do is quite important. So
is
yes.
that something that's part of the core curricula for programs in TVET?
Yeah, I did discuss it once with a friend of mine. He said, oh, we don't want to start having an entirely different curriculum on that per se, because I noticed, having consulted for these companies, that it's actually a very big problem, that requires as much time as even the knowledge and the skills component of the training. So again, it also happens to be also a challenge with the role modeling of Nigeria as a whole. I remember those days when we were much younger. There's some things you don't do because your uncle was a certain way, the man in your community was a certain way. But these days, there's glorification of wrong things. So the mentality has also changed. So it's not only about TVET; it happens across our society. Okay, but however, he's correct. That component of attitude has to be emphasized during the training programs. We do that, we do bring some people in. Actually, in my academies, we have a social worker, we have somebody who is dedicated to doing that, okay? Because that's the only way. I did have a time when I trained ex-militants from the Niger Delta, so you can imagine people who have been in the creeks with guns for many years, and I find them in my college. That was my biggest challenge. But again, it was my background in mental health that helped me. So that aspect of guidance and counseling which has appeared in many schools. That part should also be highly encouraged in technical sector. Of all places, the vet is supposed to have a high dose of guidance and counseling and soft skills on attitudes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Did you have something to say? I know it sounded like you had a comment about this topic as well.
Yes, these are all very interesting and very logical issues we're talking. And I like the last part that Dr. Endi addressed: attitudes, values, and the mean. And the issue that integrity and other values are actually become a very important component throughout our whole education system. Because without those values, it is very difficult to ensure that what you are producing and what you're doing makes sense. And also, it leads to the issue that has been raised earlier. What exactly are our plans for doing all the economic reconstruction, etc.? That is really where the bulk of this workforce will go into, where the bulk of the unemployed youth will find something sensible to do, will learn something, and will apply themselves honestly to having a good life and a good quality of life as well, and also ensuring that they make sure that the people come behind them also imbibe the right values, the right attitudes, and the right skills so that there is progression rather than regression, which is what we seem to be having. Like Mr. Andy said, yes, we had quite a large number of industries before that were providing the background for the supply. But now we have to plan forward. We have to revive. We also have to set targets, which so far we seem to be really not able to address. You see some from some of the industries, like the work that Endi is doing in Southeast, which is very good and commendable. But many of the people who we have who organize at state and other levels, what they call economic development plans, actually never stop to address what is needed to make it work. You don't set up industries in a vacuum. You set up industries where you have understood and have put in place the right measures to make it work, and you have also got the right skills and the right people to populate what is needed. So I think what I hear also from the MBTC that they have also tried to address some of the problem that we have identified in having the correct attitude, the correct institutions to address what we need are all coming out, but they need to be helped. And I believe this is where PEEF would actually be a catalyst in making sure that the national way forward is going on. My real worry is actually, how do we engage the policy makers now such that they can start to address these issues at the right level? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Musa, would you like to say a couple of words as well?
Well, okay, thank you very much, Ahmed. And I think we have had an exciting session with Mr. Endi Ezengwa. For any nation to really develop in a sustainable manner, we cannot run away from the practical challenge of having the skill sets that are in the area of vocation and you know, the basis for ensuring that the engine room of the economy works, which will be middle level manpower. All right. So I think that is the area of focus. If we don't get that right, then we'll be struggling, because like he has indicated with the shawarma analogy, right? You will be producing what you don't need. If you look at China, that is quietly, taking over the global economy, that's what they have done. And China exports technicians and middle-level, manpower all over, Africa as we speak. So why can't we do the same? It's time to do that. And I firmly believe that with the efforts we are putting into PEF, collaborating with key stakeholders, we should be able to move the dots over time. It can be done overnight, but with the right energy, it is possible. And with our ability to influence government and private sector, stakeholders, we should begin to see a progress. At PEEF, we would like to emphasize practical solutions. So whatever we can get out of this session, which we'll be listening to Endi later on, what are the next steps? We would like to see that they are practical. When we meet again, what have we achieved? So that we have a scorecard of we're doing something to change the narrative rather than lament each time that we have problems, we have challenges. So we're looking forward to that wrap-up. So I say congratulations to all of us for this first in the series of PEEF virtual talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Endi, I'll pass it back to you for the next, for a few minutes to wrap up, and then I will, we'll try to end the session on time.
Yes. Thank you again, my elbow ES, our BOT chairman, and everyone that took time to listen and contribute. We are going to have another session sometime in June, probably on the 8th of June or somewhere, but you'll be informed, where we will also address solutions. Between now and then, you can join PEEF. If you need information, you can ask. You can join also the PEEF TVET platform and contribute. Personally, I don't know it all. There are many people in Nigeria who know what I'm talking about. It's just that God used me as a vessel at this point to pass on this message as a catalyst. So I'm expecting even more experienced people to come in, and I will humbly allow that to happen, and for whatever needs to be done, to be done. So it's not about me. But between now and the next meeting, we will be interacting via the WhatsApp platform, via emails, make contributions, and then go to the point. So we will collect all the information that that come in from participants. And I forgot to mention, there were some people who had contributed. If I can't mention all their names now, but we really appreciate those who have already sent in some information already. We will appreciate more people coming in to give us more information as well, so that it's a joint project that we have. We want to get answers from everyone to make sure that we do it properly. That's where I'm coming from. So more information will come to you via the email. Moshood Shakirat, Yusuf Abdullahi Umar, Dr. Gambo Neimoha, Rukayat Moshood, Dr. Pascal Ebohimen. These are the people who took time out to write to us, and we've taken down your points. We will collect them, we'll get some more, and then we can do that. Then we'll also have some consultations with some of the agencies, so that by the time we will meet next time, we will have something comprehensive for the BOT chairman to take forward. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Endi. And once again, I would like to remind folks that this is a really, really exciting program, the PEEF Virtual Talk Series. It's going to be held at a minimum once a month with some follow-up sessions as well. We're going to have experts from so many different fields. So if you want to stay informed about upcoming PEEF talks, certainly we do send out through our networks, but we will also be posting these sessions up, or the dates, on our PEEF website, www.peef-sdg.org. That is where you would want to go to check out what's coming up next. It is a website that's still in development, but we're quickly getting it packed with all kinds of valuable information, and we'll be sharing archived information about these sessions. So we do encourage you to join us. I'd like to thank our technical advisor, Hadiza, for helping us navigate through, technology is always difficult. Mr. Endi, thank you once again. Dr. Musa, Engineer Abdullah, thank you so much for joining us. And I'll let everybody go back to the rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And
Thank
perhaps
you,
the planning team can stay behind if you've got a few moments, but everyone else, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.